I'm in a windy place in Central California, tucked in behind some farmlands and in some mountains. And I've had a couple of experiences that I'm wondering if they mirror each other. First of all, I had a mouse infestation in my trailer. And, rodents, trailers, not great. But, as I went through the process of cleaning everything up and tearing everything apart and having help with that, I realized that there was an opportunity to have a cleaner trailer than when I started. I realized that there were some places in the trailer that maybe I've been neglecting that could use some attention. This just in, somebody is publishing a book and the description of that book is very similar, incredibly similar to a book that I published 4 years ago and I updated a couple of years ago. And the people publishing and writing the book are people that I sent copies of my book to and talked to them about possibly partnering on the book. Even though I had already completed it, I thought, is there something you want to add? Should I join you for your conference? This seems to be right up your alley. Do you want to talk about it? And I didn't get any feedback, but now those people have written a book that is, the description of the book is surprisingly similar to mine, and it's not something I've ever seen anybody else write about. Did somebody plagiarize my book? There's a lot of feelings that go with that because the things that I write, I earned. There's some of the knowledge that may be borrowed, some of the knowledge that other people may have said, and then I've integrated, and maybe I thought it was one of my own ideas or something like that, and maybe regurgitated. Some of it is information, there's things that I've written before that other people have written, and I say, I got this from this person. But then there's the earned knowledge, the knowledge that comes directly through experience, and it's important for me to make a distinction between earned knowledge, borrowed knowledge, and stolen knowledge, which is, well, when you claim it's yours, you give no credit to the person you got it from, and you basically imply that you have had the experiences in life in order to gain this information. So I can tell you what the land speed record is, but if I tell you that I'm the one that achieved that land speed record, well, that's a different story. And whoever did achieve those land speed records, they understand the speed at which they were traveling far greater than I could possibly understand, because all I'm doing is repeating a fact that they earned and that they experienced and that people lost their lives for. Very different. So I didn't feel good when I woke up this morning thinking that somebody may be plagiarizing my book and that these someone's have a lot larger voice than I do in the community, that they there was a lot of thoughts that went with that. A lot of beliefs came up, a lot of fear came up. And once I dealt with all that and I processed that, and I imagine there's still more to go. Let's see what happens. I hope that mute worked. Yeah, hopefully it did. And I processed a lot of that and came back to a place that I like a lot. And that place is, how did I participate possibly in this? Let's say it's true. And honestly, it's probably not as true as it looks. I tend to overreact sometimes when I see things like this. When I feel like I'm being taken advantage of or stolen from, I tend to overreact to that type of thing or assume the worst. Let's say it's as bad as I think it is. And the 15 points in my book are the 15 points in their book, and then they added a few more points to make it a few more points. Let's say they just ripped it off directly. Okay, number one, how did I contribute to that? What part did I play in what some might say is my own victimization? I I take exception to that idea of being victimized, but what part did I play? Back to the trailer. Yes, maybe I had an infestation of mice, but what part of the trailer did I neglect, right, that allowed mice to get in? What part of my life have I neglected? What part of my relationships have I possibly neglected that would allow somebody to come in and do something like this? Are there dark corners of my whole self? Are there aspects of me that I have not addressed, that are collecting dust, that allow chaos to come in and nest in my life because I haven't brought order to those places? And is it something unrelated? I'm dealing with a financial situation right now that I keep making videos about but not posting because I don't know the legal ramifications or the liability. I'm exploring something that might be illegal even though I can't find any laws against it. And so that's a dangerous ground to play in, karmically, let's just say. And within the concept of the entirety of who I am. If I'm doing something financially that I think is victimless, but there are victims, and I am stealing from somebody, am I reaping the consequences of that by financially taking advantage of banks, let's say? It wouldn't be individuals, that's for sure. Let's say I'm financially taking advantage of banks. Is that opening an opportunity for someone to creatively take advantage of me and steal from me? What is that called? I can't remember that type of, when you have, let me just see if I can think of it. I can't think of it right now, but it's sort of creative properties, intellectual property, that's the phrase. So I have intellectual property rights. Let's just say somebody has non-consensually taken that property from me in the form of my book. Did I contribute to that by taking some corporation or financial institution's property as well? So these are things that come up when I'm dealing with a situation like this. You might want to listen to this video instead of watch it. There's not much I could do. I'm just out here walking, and my phone is not that good, so it doesn't have really stabilization on it. But I can't stand still and talk, really. This is an opportunity for me to see if there are neglected parts of my life. This is an opportunity for me to ask, how am I participating in what I would consider my own victimization? If I want to use that word. How can I do better? How can I live well? How can I live well not just so that this doesn't happen again, but because I want to live well? This is really putting me in touch with how much I want to live well. I want to do well. If there are aspects, if there are places in my life that need to be addressed, that are places where dust and chaos have an opportunity to collect and flourish, and then by the time they come to the surface and I actually see them because they've come out of the corner into my view, my direct view, if there are things like that that have been growing in the shadows, I want to know about it. I want to go into the shadows first. I don't want to wait for the shadow to spread into view, into my conscious mind, into my finances, into my creative life, into my profession, into my calling. I don't want to wait for that to come in. I want to go and meet it where it is while it's still just a dust bunny. And so that's what I'm sitting with right now. And this is just happening today, so I'm sharing it with you live. And I'm doing that because to me the process is important. I don't want to come back and start talking about this once I've got it all wrapped up and I'm perfectly stable and sterilized and all put together and my house is clean. No, this is where it's happening. It's happening here, out in the Central Valley of California. It's happening today, December 11th, 2024. It's happening right now, and this is how I'm dealing with it, and this is the process. And the process is happening. And things that used to take me a long time to recover from or deal with or properly address, it's getting faster. So, I'm 3 hours of this experience, maybe 4 hours into this experience, and this is where I am 4 hours into this experience. I intend to contact these people who have written their book, which, well, let's just say they've written a book, and have a conversation. My first reaction was, do you really think you're going to get away with this? But that's not the best version of me. That's not me doing it well. That's me being afraid, trying to control the situation, trying to punish people. I haven't even collected all the facts yet. But that's the initial reaction. Get back in control by threatening people and scaring them. Deal with the chaos that they have created by an equal and opposite chaos. That is not the same as dealing with chaos with order. If you've seen my other videos about the North Carolina relief experiences that I had, those are on Facebook. They're not on YouTube. I should probably bring them over. There's a difference between addressing chaos with an equal and opposite chaos to force it back into its corner, right? If I've got a mouse infestation, I can deal with it by bringing coyotes into my trailer or wild cats, right? Is that the solution we're looking for? Now you have a coyote problem in your trailer. That's not the same as order. That's not the same as going into the neglected places and addressing those things and bringing attention to the neglected places. Those are the two words that I really am connecting with. Attention to the neglected places. Bringing attention. Bringing the light of my attention into places that I may have been neglecting. That's order. That's order. So my initial impression, or my initial reaction was to match chaos with chaos. I'm glad I didn't go with that, because it may be strong in me to do that, but it's not the truth. It doesn't reflect the truth of who I am or who we are or who they are. Order is to stand firm in the timeless truth and let chaos do what it does. And still say, I'm not going to participate. I'm not participating. I'm not reacting with more chaos. I'm not going to consent to the idea that chaos is the best way to live life, or that it is the most powerful force in the universe, by participating in the chaos to deal with the chaos. If I participate in the chaos by dealing with the chaos with a bigger form of chaos, I'm buying into the idea and I'm promoting the idea that chaos is the truth. This is the best example, using these ideas of chaos and order, because both are really, really important. Chaos is this potential, the realm of potential, and order is speaking into that potential and actually bringing forth something creative from the possibilities of what can be. I'm glad I didn't I'm glad I didn't react. I'm just taking a moment to respond. And I've ordered the book so that I can actually read it and see how similar it is to my book. And then the question is, let's say it's incredibly similar, like clearly my ideas in their book. Well, then what? Do I want to say something? If I do want to say something, do I want to say something for my benefit or for theirs? Or for both of ours? Or because it's just the right thing to do? I'll tell you what, if I wrote a book that mirrored somebody else's book and it was going to the printer, I would want to know as soon as possible that I had lifted some ideas from somebody else. I would want to be given the opportunity to say, stop the presses. Hold on. If someone came to me and said, hey, Eric, I see you wrote this book. That's exactly the book I wrote 4 years ago. Almost exactly. Are you sure you want to publish that knowing that it's somebody else's book? I would be like, yeah, you have to tell me that. If nothing else, even if I think my version is better or a 2.0, I would at least want to put a chapter in the book or a foreword saying, so many of these ideas were shared by this other person 4 years before mine. And I want to give them credit. It's possible that I read that book and didn't remember it, I would remember reading it, but possibly watched videos on the book and didn't remember or something. I would want that opportunity, and I want to give somebody else that opportunity too. Now that means that their interest and my interests overlap, and my ego can be participating in the process without being addressed because it's also the right thing to do, just socially or for them. And sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes what feels good to the whole self, and sometimes we have to choose the part of ourselves that is going to feel good and the part of ourselves that has to be not suppressed, but just that doesn't get to feel the instant gratification. Sometimes the ego feels a little pain when we make a spiritual decision that's the right choice, and sometimes they're both on the same page. So that's the process. I'll cut her off there. All right, have a good day.